Suicide is a tough topic to discuss, and that's exactly why we wanted to address it in the hopes of further breaking down the stigma around mental health and confronting the growing incidence of veteran suicide in our community. For context, 1/4 of those who took their own lives in 2022 in El Paso County had a history of military service.
The numbers are sobering. 194 people died by suicide in Colorado Springs last year. 49 of those were former or active military members. And it's likely that in each of their lives was someone who suspected they could be struggling.
I think we can all recognize someone who's very, very, very mentally ill. It's harder to recognize that person that you've seen every day for years, and now just something seems off.
El Paso County Coroner Dr. Leon Kelly says the research he and his team conduct into the circumstances that led to a veteran's suicide can help identify missing resources throughout the county.
Suicides are unique in that the more we know about what went wrong, the better equipped we are to prevent these same things, either from identifying folks with risk factors, getting intervention to them, creating environments that are safer for those people until you can get them through that acute crisis.
One of those environments is the Pikes Peak Suicide Prevention Partnership downtown, where Cass Walton runs the center, which offers connection opportunities like group meetups, grief support yoga, and one-on-one counseling.
We want them to know about the resource, and we also don't want them to be scared away by the name suicide prevention.
Walton says oftentimes members of the military pride themselves on being independent and self-sufficient, trained to problem solve, not ask for help.
What's the symptom? How long has this been going on? And understanding yeah, you don't have to live like that. No one expects you to. No one expects you to know how to fix it. We wouldn't want you to fix your own strep throat, right? And so no one expects you to know how to fix your own mental health. It makes sense to ask for help.
Those struggling with suicidal thoughts are not alone. After a decline in 2019 and 2020, the Centers for Disease Control found suicide deaths rose by 5% in 2021 and further increased in 2022, with 49,449 people taking their own lives that year. It's why the CDC lists suicide as a leading cause of death among all Americans, and it says there are common risk factors for those considering ending their lives, including relationship issues, chronic health problems, legal issues, or substance abuse problems.
Those are the people that are at greatest risk, particularly if they have an acute stressor, like the end of a marriage, or the final issue with their substance abuse where they get arrested. Those are the folks that are at that moment at the highest risk. And the hope is that they are surrounded by people who are observing, who are paying attention, and who are educated on the resources and what to do in those situations.
We always say, just be honest. You can let someone know, I'm having this conversation with you because I care about you.
Walton suggests having some resources in mind where they can seek help or offer to call or text 988 with them. The Veterans Crisis Line is option 1 when you call.
A lot of people think, if I bring up suicide, I'll plant that seed, and I don't want to talk about it because I don't want them to think about it. If someone's at risk of suicide, they're already thinking about it. And what research shows us is that if you ask about it, what happens most often is that they get this sense of relief, I can finally talk about it.
Walton offers one way to start a conversation with someone who appears to be using substances to cope.
I think when you go to someone and you say, I'm worried about you, I feel like I've been seeing these things, and the most common response you're going to get is, I'm fine. Thanks for asking, or I'm good. And I would just bring it up in a non-judgmental tone, I don't think someone who is drinking X amount is fine. What I see is you trying to feel differently, and I'm just wondering if we can find a more supportive way for that to happen.
Both Walton and Kelly also stress the importance of firearm storage. He says, unlike any other way to take your life, a gunshot is immediate. So creating any barriers to that action by placing a gun in a safe, under lock and key, or even storing the ammunition separately can present a veteran time to reconsider.
I want there to be a pause before that person can access a firearm and make a very permanent decision for a temporary problem.
Of the 194 suicides in El Paso County in 2022, 119 of them were done using a firearm, according to the coroner's office data. In investigating a veteran's suicide, Kelly's team will research whether the victim had a history of post-traumatic stress or a traumatic brain injury, which can help the victim's family to receive military benefits. They also report their findings to the health department, which can result in grants that fund additional community resources for vets.
I think that there are probably few causes that I think all of us would agree on more than making sure that these folks, these valuable members of our community, really do have the support beyond just words, right? Support in this community to help them deal with the struggles that many of them have.
Again, if you are struggling with your mental health, as many of us do during the holidays, call or text 988. You can get a free gun lock from the Pikes Peak Suicide Prevention Partnership, from Colorado Springs Police, or the El Paso County Sheriff's Department. There are also multiple places you can store your firearm temporarily. Find those locations and links to area veterans resources at KOAA.com. Megan Cloherty, News 5.